Today we're going to show you how to install a clutch kit on a 2014 and up CRF125. Alright, I'm going to narrate and Sean's going to be the mechanic today. So first he's going to take off that foot peg bracket there. It is, what were the sizes?
Two 8mm Allens.
Two 8mm Allen bolts. Go ahead and pop those off there, Sean. Real tight. We went ahead and put the bike on its side so that way no oil spills all out over the floor. You can drain the oil out, but most likely you'll still get a bunch everywhere. All right, I'm just gonna flip that out the way. Then next you'll pop off your Kickstarter. I believe that's a 12mm bolt. Then you're gonna move on to loosening up clutch cable from the lever there. So that way you can easily get that bracket off there and get it off the actual lever that engages your clutch. So Sean is doing that now. Struggling there, Sean.
Yeah, it's a little tight. That's be all right.
There we go, and then you just pop off all the 8mm around the actual clutch cover there. Then before you pop all those off, make sure down here, kinda right there, you'll see a little arrow, and there's an 8mm bolt, and you'll see a copper washer. Just make sure that you don't lose that copper washer and to put it back on in the right spot. So it's the one with the arrow. Just a little side note, when we're putting the cover back on, I'll mention it again. Little love tap. Rubber mallet, not a metal one. Just pops right off. Then the gasket is a metal gasket from the factory, so most of the time you can just go ahead and reuse that. So next we have oil spinner here and your clutch assembly there. So we're gonna work on the oil spinner and getting that removed. To go ahead and put on the lighter billet aluminum oil spinner. That was 3 10mm bolts. And you have a 19mm on there. You can see how it spun a little bit on them. You definitely want to use an impact getting that one off. bunch of oil still inside. But you have a nut and, what's that, a washer?
Yep.
Nut and washer. Definitely want to save those. Those will be reused.
See all the dirt in there?
Yep. Doing its job. Right, next. Those are just 10 millimeter. It's kind of going crossed to slowly relieve the springs, not get it all crooked, and then you end up stripping out a bolt. Popped out that bearing there. You see the bearing? You're gonna reuse this for the billet plate that you're gonna put on later. So put that to the side. Same 19 millimeter socket. And we did put this bike in gear to kind of help hold it a little bit. It's a good little trick to do. All right, there you go. Make sure you keep that thrust washer. Definitely need the thrust washer for the new kit there. All right, now we're gonna move over to the bench. And we're gonna go ahead and pop this ring off. So we're gonna have to drill out these rivets here and tap them through. And then we'll be able to pop this ring off here and swap it over to the new setup. All right, that just popped right out. What size drill bit are you using? Is that 1/4 inch?
It is a 3/16.
3/16 drill bit. There we go. You're gonna take a little punch, tap them through. Loud. There we go. Now you have your gear. So you go ahead and pop all those rubber dampeners off. Those will not be reused. We have new ones in the kit. But there's still one more step for this guy here that Sean's about to do. He's just gotta clean up, which you could use a Dremel, or we have a little carbide bit here. You show him exactly what
You're gonna take and see where this is arced, where the spring was. You're gonna go make it straight across. Is what you're gonna basically do.
So you gotta take that and just make a straight piece. So I don't know. And it doesn't have to be like perfect.
It's not exact. It just has the clearance for the new clutch basket.
I'll get from this side here. There you go. Nice little straight piece there. You can see he just kind of took out that little hump. So now it's nice and flat. I think he's going to grab a file just to clean it up a little bit, and good to go. Some gum out. So, it's the clutch kit box. Pop her open. Be greeted with a nice oil spinner, and you'll have your red Loctite, blue Loctite in there, little cubby hole to kind of grab, and your sticker and stuff will be in there. We threw the sticker on the box. Then you'll see your clutch. Pop all that out. All right, there's your pieces. So we're gonna work on getting this sprocket onto the backside first. These are little 3mm Allens. You can just pop on. We don't throw them on there, torque down or anything. Pop that bad boy off and drop all the Allens. So there's your new rubber dampeners. You may be able to see on them. We have different letters. That's a C. So they go in a certain way, and we'll go over that as we're putting the sprocket back on.
So on the factory basket, the gear sits on it like this. And what you're going to do with the new basket is flip the gear around.
So yeah.
So that it can fit in the...
So how are they going to know which side's which?
It's only going to fit one way.
It'll only fit one way.
See, that sits in there nicely. And the other way, it's all wobbly.
Okay.
It doesn't really fit.
So only one way. There you go. And just kind of start pushing in your dampeners. So that's a D, starting out with a D. Pop that on there. There you go. What we got next?
You're going to do A next.
A, which is right across.
And then B will be on either side of A. And it'll fit. You'll flip it for the one of the sides. It'll only fit one way. So if it fits this way, but not that way.
Gotcha. You can see he's getting the B's in, and then the same with the C's. So you got A, B, C, and D. Simple. All right. I need to bolt down that plate. And then you're going to take the red Loctite, put some thread locker on there. Just slowly bring them down, cross pattern so everything's even. And he's going to grab wrench, put the 3mm back on, just tighten it.
And you'll feel it stop when it's
Stop and bottom out.
When it completely pushes that rubber down and it hits the aluminum basket. right.
There we go. I'll throw it on the bike next. All right.
Make sure that this spacer and sleeve is on still.
On the bike and not on your old basket. You're just gonna slide it on there.
And you're gonna put the thrust washer that came off the old one
back on. There you go. Get here. All right, there you go. Set your 6 springs out the way. And then I guess we could go ahead and show them how the clutch is built up.
So out of these 5 friction discs, there is one thicker one that goes towards the back. It's also a little bit more silver than the rest
like
of them.
Silver and the rest are gold, but
Yeah.
you want to make sure that one's on the back first.
And also, this only goes together really one way. And
yeah,
you see everything's all nice and tight.
Yeah, flip it the other way and kind of show them.
You have it.
If you have it in wrong, it'll just it'll spin on you. So you want to make sure, of course, we ship them the correct way, but you want to make sure that it is just that one way. If you pull it apart for some reason
and also you're gonna soak these friction discs in oil for 30 minutes to an hour beforehand.
Yeah. And you could just use simply just a freezer bag we usually use, just fill it up with oil and let them soak while you're doing all the other. There you go. Pop right in place easy. Does that have a washer with it?
Yep, there's a washer.
Yeah, so washer, then nut.
Yep.
And I'm gonna go ahead and put one of those in there.
You're gonna pull up so it can grab the rear wheel.
Was that 2 Ooga Doogas?
Yeah, just 1 or 2 Ooga Doogas.
That should do you. There you go.
All right.
Now it's the fun part, the springs. There is a certain way these springs have to go on to the billet plate here.
So, see there's raised edges for the springs? Make sure that they sit on that and don't get caught underneath of it.
Yep. It's meant to sit on there. And doing this with the bike leaning definitely helps to get these springs in right. We have it on a stand here, but it may even help just to take it off the stand. Try to get the bike as level to the ground as possible so these springs are flat.
Before you do that, the bearing fits a little tight into the new pressure plate. So
Nice
if you have like a press or like a C-clamp, you can squeeze it in there nicely. If not, hit it with like a rubber mallet.
Yep.
And just make sure it's covered.
So he's just going to kind of lightly get them all 1 or like 2 threads in. Then we'll start slowly working the springs down, going a couple turns and doing it in a cross pattern. Make sure this one doesn't inside as well. Over there.
Just checking to make sure everything's all bottomed out.
Yep, definitely want them all fully bottom out, or it's gonna sit there and wiggle around on you. Probably wear all this out. Definitely want them bottomed out. You could probably take your finger, just double check and try to look at those springs and make sure they're all in there correctly and not crooked. All right, oil spinner next. So these are also 3mm Allens. Pop them off. Careful not to lose the O-ring. And you're just gonna slide that right on there. Like so. Then washer and nut. Impact. And what's the torque? 55 foot-pounds. So you use a 22mm wrench. Hold that. A little bit more. There you go. You're gonna take a little bit of oil, put it on the O-ring. It's nicely in the groove. Wipe that oil. All right. Supplied you with blue Loctite to put on these.
This one you're also going to go till you feel it bottomed out.
Yeah, they don't have to be crazy tight. It is just aluminum. All right. Looks like it's cover time. Sean's gonna go ahead, put a little bit of grease on the dowels and kind of help it guide itself. Grease on that little pin right there so that way it holds in place and doesn't fall out into the engine, and then you're sitting there with a magnet trying to get it all out. So swap the dowels over, make it a little easier on yourself.
While you're in here,
Yeah, clean your little screen there. How dirty is that?
got some stuff in it.
A little bit of stuff. Yeah.
And this is a wedge. If you look, that part's thicker than that part. And you're going to take, and the thick part is going to point out towards you.
And that wedges in place. Nice.
And you put your gasket on the dowels. A little bit of grease on the back side of this pin. Press it down, get the excess done. Cover on.
Wiggle your cover on there. it's fully seated.
Then you're gonna hook the cable up just to make it easier.
There you go. Probably start with the cable bracket bolts first, huh?
Yeah.
There you go. You got your little starter bracket cable holder. Guess you put that there so you don't melt it on the exhaust, eh?
Now,
All right, and remember,
copper washer,
arrow.
arrow.
Do everything across pattern. You know, this time. Nothing better for you. We feel plowed down nice. Let me crack the case over. All right, we got next. Take next. It's in there. Level. Yeah, come on. All right, just your foot bracket. All right. Next would just be just in your clutch cable and getting a good clutch feel. The next would just be just in your clutch cable and getting a good clutch feel. Sure, if you're doing this big of a project, you know how to adjust your clutch cable. You want about an 1/8 inch of play or so, and just get the good feeling that you like. Yeah, it's about 40 minutes. We've done a few of these, so we're guessing we already had all our tools. Probably take you about an hour or so to do these. Clutch install, by the time you lose your 10mm socket 5 times and go to the store and buy another one, and yeah. So fairly simple, fairly easy. Do need a drill, do need to do a little bit of grinding. There you go. Enjoy your clutch kit.